Hello, and welcome to another lesson from the IELTScoach.com. In today's lesson, we are going to look at time management for all four of the IELTS exams, how to control and manage your time. And we do that by timing the steps. There are different steps for each of the exam. So I'm going to show you how much time you should spend on each step for each exam. So let's begin with the reading exam. So in the reading exam, we know it's a total of 60 minutes. There are 3 sections. So how should we divide that time up? My advice is 1 minute for each answer. So there are a total of 40 questions. So that would be 40 minutes just looking and finding and writing the correct answer. Spend 1 minute on question 1. If you can't find the answer, stop, move on to question 2. 1 minute, doesn't have to be exactly 1 minute, but approximately 1 minute for each question. Don't spend 5 minutes on one question because then you will run out of time at the end. Spend your 1 minute going through all of the questions for each section. So we know section 1, 2, and 3, they will have 13 or 14 questions each. So if you spend 13 minutes or 14 minutes in section 1 just finding the answers, then you will have 6 to 7 minutes to check those answers, check the spelling, check you've got the correct answer, and go back and do any that you missed, any that were difficult. Okay, so just 6 to 7 minutes to check and make corrections and transfer your answers. So I do recommend transferring after each section, not at the end. So after 20 minutes, you should have the answers to 13 or 14 questions, and they should be written on the answer sheet in that first section. Okay, so 20 minutes, you will see on the clock in the room, 20 minutes is finished. Stop section 1, move on to section 2. Even if you missed 1 or 2 questions, don't worry about it. Stop section 1, move on to section 2 after 20 minutes. Do the same. 13 or 14 minutes to answer the questions. 6 to 7 minutes to check and transfer, stop, move on to section 3. If you have extra time after section 3, you can go back and fill in any gaps. But manage that time. Don't get stuck. Don't do 30 minutes section 1, 25 minutes section 2, and then you have no time or 5 minutes to do section 3 and you make all your mistakes. Use the time, manage the time with these time steps for the reading exam. Now looking at the listening exam, which is challenging because you can't control the time limits you are given. It's said the recording tells you how much time you have for each part, but you do have time. You do have 2 or 3 minutes for each of the 4 sections in the listening exam. It's not as a big 3-minute block, but you are given that time, and use that time to make predictions and to get ready to understand what you are going to hear. So when you hear the instructions, like you now have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Okay, you have some time. It's not going to be a minute. It's generally 5 or 6 seconds per question, but you have time. Look at that time or use that time. Predict possible answers. At the end, it will say, you now have half a minute to check your answers. Okay, again, you have 30 seconds. Don't waste that time. Don't think, oh, 30 seconds, I can't do anything. Yes, you can. Find something to do, predict, check grammar and vocabulary mistakes. Use all of the time you are given. You have a total of 10 minutes at the end of the listening to transfer your answers. My advice is to divide that up. 5 minutes to make corrections and to complete any questions that you missed. Okay, so that 5 minutes correcting your grammar, correcting your vocabulary, making sure you got the word count correct. Double check your answers. 5 minutes. Then 5 minutes to transfer your answers carefully. Okay, so be careful here. Don't spend all your time checking and correcting and then 1 minute to transfer. It's not easy to do. I could not transfer 40 answers in a minute. Give yourself enough time so you don't make stupid mistakes when you transfer. let's move on to the writing exam. So obviously we have 2 tasks in the writing exam. My advice here for task 1, 2 minutes to read the data, to understand the information, whether that's the letter you need to write for general training, or you're looking at a graph or a table or a chart. 2 minutes to understand the information, 15 minutes to write. Start writing. Don't spend 10 minutes planning. You don't need to do that. Start writing your introduction, your overview. Then move on to writing the details within the chart. Then that will leave you 3 minutes to check. Check for grammar and spelling, check that your sentences make sense, add or remove information if you need to. That will be your total of 20 minutes for task 1. Task 2, similar, 4 minutes to understand the topic. Okay, 4 minutes to make sure you know what you need to write about. Again, not 10 or 15 minutes planning and writing notes, 4 minutes only, then start writing. And you have 30 minutes to start writing. It could be 5 minutes or 5 to 6, 7 minutes for each of the paragraphs that you need. Then at the end, try and finish a bit early so you have 5 or 6 minutes to check. Check that your writing makes sense. Check that you have clear topic sentences. Check that your conclusion is correct. Okay, take time to check, especially if you know that you're bad at a certain grammar point. Check your articles, check your prepositions. Find the mistakes that you usually make. And any extra time should be spent improving task 2. So if you finish task 1 and you finish task 2 and you have 4 minutes left, don't relax. Look at how you can improve your task 2. It's worth more marks than task 1, so any improvements you do will be worth more. So always use all of the time you are given. Now moving on to the speaking exam. And it may seem strange, time management for the speaking exam, but yes, you need to spend a certain amount of time in each section or each part of the exam, and it's different for each part. So for part 1, not so much about the timing of your answers, but the sentences. So my advice for part 1 is 2 sentences for each answer. Not 3 or 4, not as much as you can say, just 2 sentences for your answer. Stop, wait for the next question. 2 sentences, stop, wait for the next question. Don't say as much as you can. You are not expected to. Their short answers are what are expected by the examiner. For part 2, you have your main topic and then 3 or 4 bullet points. My advice is 3 or 4 sentences for each bullet point. Again, don't focus on one bullet point and speak for 2 minutes just about that. Cover all of the points and do it in a clear, paragraphed, structured way. Okay, so each bullet point will be a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph. Move on to the next bullet point. 3 or 4 sentences. Move on to the next part. It will be very clear, very structured. You cover all of the points, and if you do 4 sentences for 4 bullet points, that's your 2 minutes. You don't have to worry about not speaking enough. Part 3, my advice is 3 to 5 sentences for each answer in part 3. Again, don't go on and say as much as you can. Give your answer, support your answer, give reasons and examples, but don't go overboard. And don't keep your answer too short. 3 to 5 sentences, stop, wait for the next question. So there's my advice for timing and time management in all of the 4 tests in IELTS: reading, listening, writing, and speaking. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them underneath this video. And please watch another video so you can practice and improve your IELTS skills. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you get the latest video updates. Thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.